Good morning, you lovely lot. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We're back on a dismal Thursday morning. And do you know what? I thought I'd go live. Why not? Why not go live? I've not done a rumour mill live in a long time as I switch microphone over. And that's the beauty of going live. Lots of things do go wrong, but we used to do this back in the day, didn't we? Live all the time. And I'm going to try and bring it back a little bit. I do like editing the videos because they're a bit more punchy. And I know you guys like that. But sometimes I think you enjoy the interaction as well. Don't worry about the door. There's no one coming through it. Looks a bit sort of like suspect there, doesn't it? Looks a bit like Halloween vibes. But don't worry, it's fine. I've had a check. But yeah, that just summarizes what sort of, or summarise, I should say, what sort of morning it is here in on the dark side of the Pennines. Dismal. But I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Anyway, get your comments in the section below. Manjeet's here. Morning. Morning, Connor. Hiya, Amy. Hope you're all good. March on together, says Jeff. Good morning, Connor. Good to see you. Hiya, mate. Hope you're all good. Jason in the building says, good morning. All driving back from sunny Yorkshire this evening to see family for Xmas. Hopefully you bring good news, Connor. Well, I will, mate. I will, hopefully. But get your comments in on this weekend, what you'd be looking at starting with in terms of the Rotherham game. Interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that. We've got sort of a sort of an analysis at this moment in time on what I would be looking at going into the Rotherham game, maybe a couple of changes. But let's get into the most important news that you guys are all here to, listen to and discuss and all that sort of good stuff. We're going to do something separate in terms of probably like a reel or a YouTube short on my opinion on Patrick Bamford's interview this morning. Obviously, not say interview. He's doing a podcast at this moment in time, and he just shared a little bit of a clip on Sam Allardyce and Leeds' position last year. I'm going to do a short on that, so make sure you look out for that one as well, guys. Make sure you're liking the video. We did a Generation Leeds last night, which was really, really good, if I say so myself. That's live on the Patreon now. If you want something in podcast form, there's some of you that love the podcast sort of stuff, so that's over there now. But let's get into where Leeds are expected to strengthen in January. So we know, according to multiple sources, Leeds are looking to strengthen in left back and attacking midfield. And according to Phil Hay, they'll only bring someone in if they have a genuine chance of breaking into the starting 11. I think with Phil, as much as we all adore him, I don't know how. I think Phil will always, he'll break the news when it comes to Leeds, and a lot of us will turn around and say, wow, it's authentic if Phil says it. But I do think with him, naturally, probably because he's not as close with Leeds as maybe previously, because Leeds have got a few boundaries up. I think with a lot of his news, it's quite generic. So, for example, if he's asked a question on January signings, Phil will turn around and go, I expect them to strengthen, but Daniel Farke will be happy if they didn't strengthen with the side that he's got right now. So it's a very sort of ambiguous answer. It's not here, it's not there, it's rather vague. So I don't think we can really take anything from Phil Hay. I think we've got to make our own assumptions of what's going to go on with the squad, make predictions, because the financial situation, which we'll get into in just a little bit, is decent at Leeds United right now. We've heard what Angus Kinnear has said in terms of 2 loan spots being open for Leeds United in this window, and they've done that on purpose, which is really, really good news. But will Leeds actually go and make that a thing? Are we going to go out there and invest in 2 positions? Now, the 2 positions that everybody keeps talking about, and I'm really fascinated to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Matt Shonsker from Dublin. Yeah, Bobby, that's exactly where I'm at. Hi, Zovic, hope you're all good, mate. Chat's thriving this morning. Everyone love that. But for me, a lot of people are talking about left back and central attacking midfielder. Do you know what? If we're only going for 2, I'm scrapping the cam. And I am going left back, but I am going centre back. And we spoke about this numerous times. Gabe would go for a keeper. I wouldn't be as extreme as that. I don't think right now that's the way going forward. I think Joe, when we're on the debrief the other day, sort of said, we're discussing left back and centre back, and that's where I would go as well. Clearly, Cresswell's not in his plans. Clearly, he doesn't rate Cresswell. So to bring another player in, I've mentioned several times Ben Cabango at Swansea. I think Cabango is perfect. I think we spoke in the summer months about Andrew Obabamadele at Norwich. And I'd love us to have gone in for him. I think the upward trajectory in his career path will be instant. I think he's that good, and very 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 quick and progressive. But I think when you're looking at Ben Cabango, I really like him at Swansea. His athleticism, his physical presence. He's only young. He's quick. And I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him, obviously Welsh international as well. So I'd be looking at someone like him because he wouldn't be expected to start at Leeds, but that rotation option, him coming in for whenever, you know, maybe a Strauch is out. He's already got a relationship with Joe Rodon in the Welsh side. Just call us Wales United. They used to call us Scotland United back in the day. And yeah, I think that would be a really good option. But a centre-back for me is imperative. Cabango can also play right-back. You know, a little bit of versatility there, and he'd be cheap. Swansea have got a lot of decent players that you can pick up. Left-back, listen, it's imperative. It's imperative. And we're going to speak about the news on why the left-back is imperative right now. And just in a second, I should say. But you can't rely on Byram. Listen, I'm beating a dead horse here. We all know that. You just can't rely on Byram. He's been really good for Leeds this season. But can we rely on Sam Byram? We're only in November. The season's been going on for, 3 months? Look how long we've got left. Till May? You know, it's a long season, a long old season. So Leeds need to go out and get a left back who's going to be available week in, week out. And then you've got Sam Byram as a beautiful rotation option. He can work in centre mid, Byram, if you desperately need. He can work right back. He can work left back. You know, even if Jed Spence has an intermittent comeback, Byram goes in at right back, and you've got a steady left back who's playing week in, week out. So for me, I would right now be going, if you're keeping hold of the entire squad, I'm talking Nonso. I'm talking, you know, I think Nonso's really the only one who I would be a little bit perturbed with. But if you're keeping hold of a strong squad, unless someone comes in with big mega money, then I would be adding those two positions. And I think that balance would be perfect then. And let's be honest, Leeds went in for a left back. They asked about Charlie Taylor. And you guys will be like, oh, but it's the only insight knowledge I can give about a left back. They asked Burnley about Taylor. Burnley turned around and said no. So they went for a left back. Central attacking midfield, they went for Amiri, didn't they? We all know that. Centre back, they were okay with. So, but I think they really need to hammer home on that because Leeds need strength in depth. Leeds United Calypso with an unbelievable shout. Matt Targett left back on loan. He's also gone with Nico Williams. I think that's a good one. Bring a centre back and send Cresswell out on loan. I think Cresswell makes sense as our backup right-footed centre back. Love to know why Farker doesn't rate him. Jason's back in the building saying, I agree, Connor, we have enough up front in this league, I believe, to get us promoted. Afternoon, Connor says, Leeds fan from Australia. Love the debrief last night. Are you going to put out on Spotify? Makes it easy to listen to the car when you live in a different country and don't watch and listen live. Mate, just for you, I'll look into it. Don't get me wrong. We used to do it. It was just a lot of work because I had, at that moment in time, I had a very intense job, but I'm a little bit freed up now. So 100%, mate, I'll be looking at putting if everybody wants that, if there's a general consensus that you guys would like the debrief on Spotify, on Apple, I will 100% do that. And we'll be looking to, you know, move a lot of things up on the channel. So I hope you've seen a little bit of content that's been improved over the past sort of week and a bit as well. But we're going to get a proper regimented schedule very, very soon. So yeah, guys, that's good news from me. Leeds United Calypso going with some unbelievable shouts. I think Joe said this the other day as well. Matson, I think, Stuart, I've just seen that, mate. Yeah, well, we'll get onto that in just a little bit. But I think the good thing about Leeds is we prepared ourselves so well in the summer that you don't necessarily have to go out and do mass amount of things in January. I think the key for Leeds in January is keeping hold of Nonso. And I know a lot of you guys will say, excuse me, get rid of him. But you've got a player there who is dynamite. You've got a player there who is insane on his day. You've got a player there who, when we went to Portman Road and played, right now, the second best team in the division, he destroyed them. You know, he's had a very, very good international break. And we know he's got bags of quality. If you brought on in a game for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you're not going to be able to show the utmost quality. Don't get me wrong, when he has featured for long, lengthy periods, he's not been great. But we know Willy Gnonto has bags of ability, way more ability than Dan James. And that's why I said the other night, Gnonto is still a Premier League option, whereas Dan James, respectfully, for me, is a championship option. He's just doing really, really well at the minute. And that follows his career. You know, Swansea, he was unbelievable. Got to Man United, wasn't great. Got to Leeds, wasn't great. Got to Fulham, wasn't great. Back down to Leeds in the Championship is great. You see what I mean? So there's patterns there, there's trends. So I would be looking at keeping hold of Willy Gnonto. And I think, you know, as I say, going into January, we don't need to do anything. We really don't. But I think bolstering the ranks at the back is key. Because I think at the minute, Joe Rodon is standing out. I love Strout, but I do think Rodon is that next level. And when you bring Jed Spence back in, you know, a lot of people, Calypso's just said Matt Targett, good shot. Ian Matson would be an unbelievable addition. But players of that caliber, you are levelling up the defence. And that's, for me, that still Leeds' weakest part, the defence. I think the midfield's sorted. I think the attack's sorted. You know, and you've got options of Somerville, Gnonto, Jaden Anthony, Yoel Perot, you know, players of that ilk, you know, Rutter. You don't really need to do much up top. If you get an Amiri in again, he sat on the bench, fella. Like Anthony, like Gnonto. That's the level that we're at the minute. Morning, Connor, says Mark from Toronto. Glad to catch you live. Yeah, listen, Mark, if people want me to do this, we can go 10 a.m. every single morning. I just think that there's a few of you, and let me know in the comment section below, because I read every single comment. There's a few of you who enjoy the edited version, the quick stuff, you know, the really quick stuff on a morning, a little bit of a news bulletin every single morning. If you prefer me going live, we went live for the Rumour Mill years ago, and you guys loved it. If you want me to make this a consistent thing, slap a like on the video and it gives me an indication that you do. Lars says Gnonto and Harrison only show up 1 out of 10 games. Yeah, Lars, I guess the thing is, it depends on what do you mean by that? Because if we're talking about goals and assists, you're right. You know, statistically, you're not wrong. I think Gnonto brings a completely different puzzle to the opposition, though. And I think this is where he gives something very, very unique. If you ever watch Gnonto play, the opposition will target him with 2 or 3 bodies, which then creates space for a Rutter, then created space for a Sinistera, then create space for Somerville, you know. And I think that's the beauty of a really potent attacker. He attracts defenders because they know he's unbelievable. Like, from an outsider's perspective, even if you're a manager, you're looking at Leeds' best player and thinking it's Willy Gnonto because of all the hype around him, this, that, and the other, his ability in playing for the Italian national side. From an outsider's perspective, it's Willy Gnonto. So you are focusing your tactical plan on him. You know, you really are shutting him down. So I don't think it's always about assists and goals. And the beauty of Willy Gnonto is he takes defenders and midfielders out of the game. Love alive at 10 a.m. will be brilliant, says Nige D. Okay. Well, if we get a few likes on the video, then yeah, that'll be indicative of you guys wanting to move forward with that, and I can definitely facilitate that. Okay, so looking at the Rotherham side, obviously Leeds are looking to pile pressure on Ipswich this weekend after the international break. Now, why is this key? Well, because Ipswich have got West Bromwich Albion tomorrow. Saturday, I should say. Massive game for them. Do I think Ipswich will get the job done? I do. I just think they'll get the job done. It'll be a scrappy Ipswich 3-2 win again, which just seems to be the consensus for the Tracker boys at the minute. However, I think West Brom, core brand side, are going to pose a massive threat. Obviously, they're at home. The Hawthorns is a difficult ground to go to. They've picked up form at the minute. They're a pressy side. They're aggressive under Corberan, and they're doing well. So this is going to be a massive test for Ipswich. You know, a huge test for Ipswich, and they've got a lot coming around the corner. You know, West Brom, Southampton soon. They've got Leeds, they've got Ipswich. So this is the period of time where we can really, really take them to the cleaners in terms of points if Leeds keep their consistency up. We win on Friday night, narrows the points to 5. Then Ipswich have got to go to the Midlands. It's a tough ask for them, and the pressure will be on. Farker's talking rubbish when he says the last 5 or 6 games of the season is where we focus. We're not focused now. He's saying that for the press. You know, right now, if Leeds are to narrow the gap with us going into that Christmas period against Ipswich and then them facing Leicester, he knows that's a massive psychological edge going into January, where Leeds probably have more financial capital than they do. So yeah, it's massive that if Leeds can get the job done this week, that's why there's no room for error. and there's no room for error against the Rotherham side. And it's almost, peacocking a little bit, because as Ipswich, they faltered at Rotherham. Leeds, go to Rotherham, get the job done emphatically, which we have the capability to do. It's all good. It's all gravy, baby. And Leeds are looking, it's a psychological thing as well, us going to Rotherham and really laying down that gauntlet. Yeah, okay, you've drawn 2-2. We've just gone there and battered them. They've not been able to touch the ball. And we do have the capability to do that. I fully believe that. But I think the likelihood of this is I think that there's potential that he's going to go with Firpo at left back. I do think that. I think he's going to go with the same lineup, but I think, I've said this yesterday, I think he's going to go with Bamford up top. I think he's going to go Bamford up top. And yeah, that's what I think he's going to go for. Do I agree with that? No. I'd probably be looking at putting Yoel up front, because that's what we bought Yoel Perot to do, play up front. And I'd be putting Somerville in behind, Nonto on the left, James on the right. That's what I'd be doing. Can you make... Michael, you can't have your cake and eat it, my friend. Leicester dropped points against Watford. Maybe Jord, potentially. I thought Watford were horrific against us, though. I think Leicester are going to turn it round, to be honest with you. I think they've just got too much in the locker. Michael said, still think Ipswich will bottle it, and now we wounded Leicester. Oh, wounded twice there, Michael, yeah? Phil, I've seen your score prediction there, mate. That wouldn't surprise me. Leeds versus Ipswich and away at Preston. Yeah, Anthrop, you're not wrong. Leeds have got let's be right here. Leeds have got a few tough games as well, and I think we all know that we've got a lot of tough games coming up. So let's get into the financial stuff that's in the title. Then there's a little bit from Dan Plumley this morning, which discusses the Seattle Kraken, and apparently Seattle Kraken, obviously the side. Whose owners or part owners are the Ackley partners, who have taken a minority share in Leeds United this week. Allegedly, they've been speaking to the 49ers for a long time now about being involved in Leeds United, a venture capital firm. And it was apparently, when it was put to the Seattle Kraken's part owners, the Ackley partners, they jumped at the opportunity. And I spoke about this yesterday, and how good this is. They're a very, very well-run franchise out there, the Seattle Kraken, and allegedly, they're very, very good owners. Very, very good owners, apparently, I should say, not allegedly. So that's great news. That's great news, and they're willing to bolster the community vibe. They're willing to bolster the commercial vibe, and essentially, when Leeds get back to the Premier League, the globalisation needs to be massively improved with Leeds United. We need to be known in Thailand and Singapore and the Philippines, but people need to be knowing about Leeds United very, very quickly. And I think that's where the 49ers are doing some really good bits of business here. They're getting people in who are able to spread that wealth of knowledge. And I think that's absolutely key. And I think it's really, really good that the Seattle Kraken have been speaking. I need to stop saying the Seattle Kraken. The Ackley partners have been speaking to the 49ers and, Parag and all the boys there. About the developments going forward, and then wanting to be involved. And I think getting more capital involved in the club before the January window even is good news for Leeds United. And once again, people in Seattle might hear of Leeds United now, because the Ackley partners are involved once again, spreading the knowledge, spreading the word. So yeah, and I think that's the desire of getting back to the Premier League, I think is only emphasised by that. And I think, getting... I understand people saying, oh, we don't want more Americans, we don't want more, they're going to take our football team away. But I think Americans have done a lot of good as well in football, and they earn a lot more money in their sport. We think the Premier League is big, big business. And listen, hockey, is it comparable to the Premier League? Probably not. But when you're looking at American sports in general, American football, the amount those guys earn, the amount of revenue, business revenue, they get from ventures over there is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's 8 times, 9 times what the Premier League makes, and it's let's be right, it's watched by a smaller audience. It's watched by a smaller pool. Not as many people watch American football as they do the Premier League in the world. So yeah, I just think I think it's really good news commercially, and I think Leeds are going to move forward with that. So yeah, and apparently, according to Phil, which we can say, he's not giving us that much when it comes to transfers. But what Phil is saying is, according to The Athletic, numerous writers there, allegedly, and he stopped saying that word, don't I? Apparently, Leeds United and Daniel Farke will not be under pressure to sell players in January due to a very, very strong financial position. Isn't that great to hear? You know, the fact that we're in a really strong financial position, the fact that Leeds don't have to sell, and that's been a problem for years, hasn't it? Leeds United not having the ability to keep hold of players, you know. Archie Gray, all those rumours I mentioned on here about 2 or 3 weeks ago was completely quashed. Leeds were turning around and saying, nah, he's not going. So Liverpool might have tested the waters for 40 million quid. They can do, but Leeds might not let him go. And 40 million quid's a lot of money, but Leeds might be turning around and saying, look, we can get double that at some point, especially with Archie after maybe 18 months on what he's got now. You know, Willian Yonto, 30 million quid or no. Leeds are not going to change that. You know, they've said 30 million in the summer months. Why on earth would they be turning around now in January and saying, oh no, you can have him for 20 actually? And our Serie A club's going to be able to come in and pay that sort of money for Willian Yonto. It's going to have to be a case of Willie kicking up a fuss again, which I don't think he'll do. I think it's a very stupid move if he does that, and I don't think he will be doing that. And as Calypso's just said there, Nick Hammond until next summer is important, and I think he's going to be really key in this, to be honest. Ian says, great to see Joe called out about Meslier. The takedown was beautiful. Facts are facts. Yeah, the Meslier debate was really interesting. Really, really interesting. You know, Joe thinks he's a top keeper. Gabe thinks he's not a top keeper. Joe knows this. I've said this on the channel multiple times, but I'm more on Gabe's side when it comes to Illan Meslier. I think Leeds' possession dominance in this division means that he doesn't get exposed at all. I think in the Premier League, it's a shocking defence in front of him, but I think just individual errors. It was more obvious that he'd be making individual errors in the Premier League, and I think, you know, at this moment in time, he barely faces anything. Don't get me wrong, a couple of incredible saves, but I need to see more evidence that Illan Meslier is a top keeper, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. A lot of people have different opinions. Okay, so the final bit of news for today, and a lot of you guys have guessed this by the thumbnail, Betis want another player. And this adds to the left-back chat. Allegedly, they want Junior Firpo. Now, this would make a lot of sense. He was excellent for Real Betis. Obviously, he was playing for Real Betis at left wing-back prior to his signing for Barcelona, and Firpo's career there he was absolutely flying, unbelievable at Betis. They loved him, and it would not surprise me, especially if Firpo gets some minutes in the bag, that he joins Betis in January or maybe, you know, the summer, but January would be great, to be honest with you. I don't think he's up to it. A lot of people are very reactionary when it comes to this sort of stuff. I've been quite constant when it comes to the likes of Firpo, Christensen, Aronson. I thoroughly believe Junior Firpo, you know, I've sort of hoped that he might stand out in this division, but, you know, he's just not. He's a bad defender. He's a really, really bad defender, and I think he's been exposed in the Premier League, and I just don't think he's great, to be honest with you. I'd much rather have Sam Byram every single week, as we all would, but as a natural left-back, I think we can get much better out there, so I'd be looking at selling him. If Betis come in with a bag, fantastic, and I think they will, and a little joint signing of Mark Rocker, which could potentially happen in January. We don't know the clause in the contract, but that'd be excellent. And Junior Firpo would be absolutely lovely. Add a cool 20-25 million to the transfer pot to Leeds' capital. Keep the investors happy. Keep everyone happy around Ellen Road. Get 2 Deadwood players off the books. And listen, you guys will turn around and say, Connor, you're being absolutely hypocritical here. You love Mark Rocker. I've always been quite constant with Rocker, and I've made a joke out of it so many times. I've made jokes out of it. Me and my old man think very, very similar when it comes to Rocker. I know a lot of you guys despise Rocker, which I don't massively get. He is part of the deserter, of course. I don't despise any of them. I don't like them, but I just think Mark Rocker, and I don't understand why more people don't look at it like this, but football's subjective. I've always said I just think Rocker in a possession-based system would do better, and I think he's got potential. You know, he was lauded at Bayern Munich, loved at Bayern Munich, just couldn't get ahead of some of the starters they have there who are unbelievable. And you know, at Betis he's been really, really good, and that's kind of what I said in the summer. I thought he'd go off and do really, really well. So evidently there is quality there. He's playing in a more possession-based system. I don't get why people don't get that. So, but as I say, a lot of people will go on about his athleticism and his physicality and all this sort of stuff, but I don't know. Is La Liga a less physical and athletic standard than the Championship. I don't know, but yeah, but with Firpo, you know, it's never been one for me. He's never been the one. So yeah, I wouldn't ever say no to a player of Mark Rocker's ability coming back, but I didn't like the fact that he left in the circumstances that he did, and Rocker was one of the first ones. He couldn't wait to leave, so I wouldn't have him back either. So I just wanted to explain that, because ability-wise, I like that, and I'd like that in a Daniel Farke system. Reminds me very much of a Vrancic at Norwich. And I think he'd fit in really well to a Farke, and I think Farke would love him, to be honest with you. He's a mirror image of Vrancic, so maybe a little bit more industrious, actually. But yeah, overall, him leaving wouldn't bother me. So if Leeds are to make a cool profit in the January window, don't care. Yeah, a lot of people think this, Leeds United old school. I never got this, but it seemed to be something that snowballed on social media, and I think that's why. And that's not putting down your opinion there at all, by the way, mate. It's really not, because that is your opinion. When I ever saw Mark Rocker play, I never looked and thought, oh, he's so slow. He's so slow. He can't do it. I honestly didn't see that, but a lot of people did. When I was watching him play, I didn't think that. I genuinely didn't, but. You know, I might have missed something. There. But I do think that rhetoric sort of snowballed on social media, and now everybody says it, when at one point it was just one or two people saying it on social media. But listen, I think ability-wise, in a different system, he'd be good. But yeah, anyway. Melee is still a young man, says Lars. I hope he can start progressing now, and when Marcus Abad has left, you can see that he's become more vocal than before, start to command the players in front of him. 25 million is a stretch for those two, I think. Max 18 million. We'll get nothing for Firpo. Yeah. And yeah, everyone. We're going to leave it there. There's 400 of you in the building, 400 likes. If you want me to do this more often, a little bit of a half an hour segment every morning, I can provide that, everybody. Absolutely no problem. Just let me know by liking the video, because otherwise I won't know that I can't. Obviously, I'm not going to, you're not all going to read it in the comment section below. So just slap a like on the, or going to put a comment in the comment section below, I should say. So just slap a like on the video if you want me to do this every single morning, and we can go live at 10 a.m. every single morning discussing the rumours. We've got January coming up. I want to build up to that as well. But even so, we can just discuss news. We can discuss what's going on, the lineup for Leeds United, your thoughts, and for it doing a bit interactive. Also, Damar, want to answer this. I will be doing a watch along live. As I say, we're keeping that consistent. We're doing more of the watch-alongs now. If you want me to invite people into the watch-alongs, I can do that as well. As I say, let me know in the comment section below. And when I do that, everybody, please make sure you join along for the watch-alongs. Trying to build them up. We've only done like 2 or 3 so far. I know you guys have put a little bit of feedback on there, so I'm going to try and do that to the best of my ability over the next couple of weeks. But guys, it's been an absolute special one this morning. Really appreciate you stopping by. Check out the shorts, check out the Patreon if you want a podcast over there with my old man. And as always, everybody, have a good one. I'll catch you in a bit. Cheers.